Tracker slightly off center there. Look at the texture pop on that. Jesus Christ. I wonder if there's some way to solve that, because that is really, really obnoxious. Like, Jesus, that's bad. Alright. Nothing in front of me. No, we're good. My flying's probably going to be a bit sloppier than usual today. I'm really, really tired. Haven't been sleeping very well. I'm not feeling too well, so we will try. Play this for a bit. I might do some DCS later. I'm not sure yet. Really depends. That's a hell of a typo. Press F5. What does F5 do? Nothing. I don't want to be centered on the gun sight. I deliberately centered my view much higher than the gun sight so I can see over the nose and I can easily check the fuel tankage. Like, I don't want to be centered on the gun sight in this. If I'm trying to shoot, I just pull my head down. It's the beauty of 6 degrees of freedom movement. I can move my head. I don't need to have the view centered. I really, really hate having the view centered on the gun sight in this. It's too low. In certain aircraft like the Spitfire, it's not an issue because the gun sight is placed better in respect to the cockpit, but in the Yak, I prefer a high view. I also really don't like having gun sight snaps on. So for instance, in DCS the MiG-15 has an option where if you move your head too close to the gun sight, it'll snap you into the gun sight view, and I turn that off right away. It really messes with me. In aircraft with offset gun sights and things like that, I just move my head. I have the ability to move my head to do it, so there's no reason to use an in-game snap or center the view on it, in my opinion. I like how I started out by saying I'd be flying worse than usual because I'm tired and don't feel well, and here I am actually flying better than usual and coordinating my turns. Maybe I should just not sleep from now on. Maybe that's the secret. Ground here is very chalky. I don't have VR, I can't afford it, and my PC probably couldn't run it anyway. I don't know anyone in real life that has it, anywhere near me, so I haven't been able to try it. I'd like to try it, I just haven't had the opportunity. I think in the future, once I have a bit more money, and once the technology matures a bit more, I'd like to get it. But for now, the resolution isn't there, and it's just too much expense for me. I think once the prices start to come down, that's when I'll start looking at it. The other problem is, of course, I wear glasses. I have quite bad eyesight, and I have very briefly used VR. It wasn't in a sim, it was in something else, and it was not very comfortable because it was pressing my glasses into my face and I couldn't focus my eyes properly. In addition to that, I think that VR is much harder to set up for streaming, and quite often, like if it's not set up 100%, it's not as good to stream. It's not very pleasant to watch because the camera jitters all around the place, and that's me forgetting what my keybinds are in this, or my control binds are in this. That looks like an LA5. That is an LA5. Probably come to look for the same enemy that I'm looking for. But yeah, I watch a couple of streamers who do use VR, and the streams are very jittery. The camera moves around quite a lot. It's difficult to watch for me, and for instance, if their screen limits on the capture aren't set up properly, it captures a lot of the outside, like the black space around the screen, and that shakes as well, so it's kind of sickness-inducing. I also do have issues with motion sickness, so I'm not sure if that will get triggered by the VR. For instance, when I'm flying in real life, I have no issues, but I feel like VR might cause me some problems. Like if I'm sitting in a car and I look down, I will get sick very quickly. Another LA5. I think the Germans have been and gone. Yeah, exactly. The lack of resolution is the big problem for me. I mean, performance, I can deal with low frame rates because I'm used to them. You know, I've never had a top-of-the-line gaming PC. I'm always, 5 or 10 years behind technologically. So I can deal with low frame rates, I'm used to it. But the lack of resolution is the problem for me. because I have enough trouble spotting aircraft as it is. I like to be able to read things in the cockpit, and you know, a lot of the, especially DCS aircraft, without good resolution, you can't read the labels and instrumentation in the cockpit. There are a lot of advantages I feel like you have with VR. You know, better general situational awareness. Things like cockpit framing are much less of an inhibition. You know, a bit better sense of peripheral vision, but I don't think at the moment it's worth the trade-off for me in terms of spotting distance and image resolution. Maybe once the technology improves, it will be, but not for now. But once we actually outnumber the Germans by quite a large number, so might have difficulty finding targets here. So I was planning on waking up around 4:30 in the morning my time. I actually woke up at 11 PM. I crashed out quite early last night because I only had 2.5 hours of sleep, so... What I might try and do is I might try and sort of shuffle my schedule around, like my sleep schedule, to what extent I can modify it. So I wake up, you know, relatively early in the morning and go to sleep kind of early evening. I live out in the country, so there's not a whole lot for me to do in the evening here. Like, most of my friends still live on the coast, so it's not like I go out drinking or anything, so I might as well shift that around if I can. I had it stable for like a week, where I'd wake up about 5 AM, and that was a really good setup, because then I could stream earlier in the morning and you know, catch people in Europe and the US and Canada. But I have this problem where every now and then, for no reason at all, my sleep pattern starts going forwards by an hour a day, or 2 hours a day sometimes, and it did that. And before I knew it, I was going to bed at 4 AM and waking up at noon. It's very, very difficult for me to just get a normal night's sleep. I don't know why. I've never been able to do it. I just see something over there. I don't think so. Probably should join the Discord for this server, but I don't even know if anyone really uses it to communicate, or if it's a bit like DDCS where they mostly just chat shit. I'm in way too many Discord servers already. The last thing I need is another one. But at the same time, it can get a bit frustrating flying around for an hour trying to find something to shoot at, and then getting swooped by usually Jammer in a 110, but you know. This game really does give you a whole new appreciation for the doubting system, as I've said before. And that's where I took off from. Well, that's where I was before. The artillery position's down there. I'm gonna turn around. Since 2001, damn. I first started playing flight sims in about 1999 or 2000. Combat Flight Simulator 2. My uncle gave me his copy and a joystick. After that I got into European Air War and Falcon 4.0, F-22 Total Air War. I had EF-2000 but I could never get it working on my PC. From there I got IL-2 in, I want to say like 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. I did have Lock On. I think I got Lock On around 2008, but I didn't play it very much, and I never played it online. I used to play IL-2 online a fair bit. I'm loud? Oh. Yeah. It's probably because, like, I can't tell how loud I'm speaking, and the game's quite loud, so I might be yelling. Sorry. I have, like, no ability to know how loudly I'm talking, and my microphone is really scuffed. Sorry, I'll try and speak more of a normal conversation volume. No, I know, but like, the thing is, even if I turn the volume down on the mic, it's still going to be peaking the mic, so the quality's going to be shit. The problem is, like, I have no volume control, basically. Like, as a person, I have no volume control. If there's background noise, I start yelling because I can't hear myself. It's really irritating. I may have caused a few complaints from former housemates by doing it. But yeah, so I've been playing IL-2 for a long time, but I only recently started playing the new IL-2 series, so I played Rise of Flight as well for a couple of years, but I only started playing Battle of Stalingrad, well, you know, Great Battles basically, about 2-3 weeks ago. I've had it since, I think I pre-ordered it, so I've had it for years. I just never got around to playing it, because for a lot of that time I didn't have a working joystick. And then when I did get a working joystick, I got into DCS, and that kind of sucked me in. Yeah, usually if I stream in the morning my time, so around this time or a couple of hours from now, I'll play with CJ. He's not on at the moment, but if he does get on later in the stream, I might see if he wants to fly. When I used to play Rise of Flight, I would almost always be flying with friends. We'd have about 3 or 4 of us on. I'd also get friends who had the game but were new to it, and I'd take them up and kind of do mock dogfights against them behind the lines to get them used to it, and then we go out on the patrol over the front. It was a lot of fun. Doing a co-op stream with Pom on Sunday? Nice! I'll have to catch that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be home on Sunday, but if I'm out at the farm, I should still be able to watch on mobile. Although, yeah, I'll only be able to watch one of you. I can't dual window it like I can on the PC. Oh, I'm nowhere near where I need to be at the moment. One thing I will say about having my head position set much higher up is it's really difficult to keep an eye on the altimeter and maintain my altitude. So, okay, for those that don't fly, or, you know, don't fly much, when you're trying to keep your altitude constant, if you have a VSI, it's useful to have, but that's not your primary reference. Your primary reference is the altimeter. The reason being that the VSI tends to have a bit of lag in it. So if you chase the VSI needle, you're going to be bobbing up and down. It's a bad habit, which I got myself into mostly in DCS, particularly in the Tomcat. But the main instrument you want to be watching is your altimeter, because if that's not moving, you're level. So to maintain my altitude, I need to be paying attention to that and try and trim for it. But especially at this altitude, the needle's sitting behind the gun sight support bar, so... Oh, we've won this round. Not surprising, considering we outnumber the Germans by like 10 players. which is rare. It depends on speed next. So the aircraft speed and angle of attack feeds into maintaining level flight. So for instance, if you're flying slow, you need to hold the nose up for the same level flight as you would flying fast. So as you fly slow to maintain level flight, you put back trim on the stick and hold the nose up. To maintain level flight at higher speeds, you trim nose down and drop the nose. So you need to get kind of a... The other thing you can do is, especially if you've got like a cockpit frame with rivets or something on it, is you can get a mental picture of where you need to sit the horizon at a certain airspeed. So for instance, probably I'd want to sit the nose about... Probably about the second rivet from the top, I think. At this speed, somewhere around there. Okay, maybe not. Maybe between them. Somewhere in there. By the way, that is also why, particularly for, say, naval aviation, you fly by the AOA index, not by the airspeed. So, you know, if you're landing a Tomcat or a Hornet, you have the E bracket, and you're trying to hold a 15-degree angle of attack. The reason for that is your speeds change with the weight and configuration of the aircraft. But no matter what the aircraft's weight or what the aircraft's configuration, if you say land at a 15-degree angle of attack, it's never going to change. The speeds will adjust themselves. You just hold the 15 degrees and everything else just kind of works, right? So that's why they do that. This is multiplayer, although the German team are nowhere to be found at the moment. I think this round is just about to end. My team has accomplished all its combat objectives, so unless the Germans do something drastic, we should be heading to the next round pretty shortly. For those just arriving, I haven't had a whole lot of sleep, so you'll notice me like blinking a lot, trying to clear my eyes. My plan of waking up at 4:30 AM didn't kind of work out. I woke up at 11 PM instead. Yeah, exactly, Dibbo. They're not as bad with it now as they used to be, or at least not in my experience, but they do still do it. Quite often when I've been playing, like, this is rare, we actually have them outnumbered, like, by quite a, well, not as big a margin now, it was like 10 people earlier. But, like, usually when I come on, the Germans have more players than the Soviet team, but the Soviet team will still be doing quite well, just because they do hang out lower to the ground. What time is it for me? It's 4:30 in the morning now, so this is about when I plan to wake up, and hopefully I remember to turn the alarm off on my phone. I guess we'll find out in about 10 minutes. There we go. We won. We'll see what the next round is, I guess. I need to see if there's a way to fix this texture pop. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just really jarring when aircraft take, a couple of seconds for the texture to load in, and it's not like DCS. So say I'm playing DCS and a tomcat comes near me and oh mother of god, it tries to switch texture levels of detail. The thing is, it'll disappear and it might cause the game to hang for 5 or so seconds, but then the texture pops in and that texture is saved in the memory. Like, this is why DCS takes up such a massive amount of RAM. But the thing is, every time that tomcat comes near me, unless he goes to the other side of the map and comes back, that texture's already loaded. Whereas in this, if I look away, he can be right next to me. If I look away from the aircraft and then look back, the texture has to load in again. So it takes another 5 seconds to pop back in, and it's really annoying. Like, it happens every time you break eye contact with the aircraft. It unloads the texture and then loads it back in. I don't understand why they made that choice. It doesn't seem to be a very good one. I mean, I'm no programmer, so maybe this is a thing that does make sense to them, but I would have personally thought you'd maybe make it not unload textures if you're within a certain radius of the object. I don't know. Like I said, not a programmer. Oh god, I wish I had the Mark 9. Oh, I want the Mark 9 so badly. I'll take the Axe 7 again, I guess. So the Axe 7's not a bad plane, I'm just not used to it. I still got to adjust to how it handles. And there are certain things about it that I'm not a big fan of, whereas the Spitfire Mark 9 is my baby. I have been flying Spitfires in Sims since I was 10 years old, and I'm a lot more familiar with it. Okay, can I just roll straight across? I think I have enough room. The actual runway looks like it runs diagonally across in front of me. Okay, let's do one more check. Yeah, I think we got enough room. Like I said, I think that runway is running diagonally across my nose, so I should have space. Let's just hope there's no rabbit holes in front of me. Or anti-aircraft guns. I really wish the Axe had rudder trim. I really, really do. It saved me so much time and effort, and with these janky pedals, it's really difficult to get it to actually center the slip fork. They also have a really bad habit of going to maximum input and then dropping back whenever I move my feet. As you just saw there, I went into very nearly a bad slip at low altitude, which is not fun. It's just all over the place. I will say one of the nice things about the Mirage and DCS is I don't actually really need to use the rudder because of the fly-by-wire system. I can if I want, and I do use it quite heavily in dogfights. In fact, probably I use the rudder more when I'm dogfighting in the Mirage than I do the aileron, well, you know, the roll axis on the elevons. But technically for normal flight you don't need it. Which, for someone with broken rudder pedals, is, you know, a godsend. So we want to head kind of west, and then we'll control along the front, I guess. Really gotta work on trying to coordinate my turns more in this, because I think that's most of my problem when it comes to losing control of the yak at low level. It's because I'm going into skidding turns at low speed, which is really not good. Watching my altitude for the supercharger gear switch at 2,300 meters. Oh, not a river. It's a small lake. There's the river. Okay. Come off the mixture a bit as well, for a mixture of fuel economy and not leaving a giant black smoky trail across the sky. Just going to get up above the clouds a bit. It does mean I'm not going to be able to see what's going on below me, and I did forget to turn my alarm off. There we go. I'm not going to be able to see what's going on below me, but a lot of the Germans do tend to hang out quite high, so... What server? Wings of Liberty. Probably leveled off at about 3 kilometers. What happened to me in DCS? Couple things. First of all, the patch that dropped early June totally fucked my game up. Like, it really ruined the performance for me to the point where it was unplayable. It's improved slightly now, so I can do like 1 versus 1 dogfighting, and if I wait for half an hour for all the textures to load, I can play on like Growling Sidewinder server. But a lot of the time the game just doesn't run well. it really doesn't like running if I've got anything in the background, so music and stuff doesn't work. It's just generally been kind of frustrating. I'm getting an SSD probably the end of this week. As soon as I have a bit extra pay come in, I'm looking at, like, I could buy one right now, but I want to see if I can pick up the, like, next larger one so I can get Armor 3 and stuff on there as well. That should hopefully fix it, and I'll be back to DCS more regularly. No, still looking for one. But I had a whole bunch of pay that was overdue from a job I did in May, which I hadn't been paid yet because I sent it to the wrong person, and it's been several months of basically going in circles trying to chase that pay up, and it's finally supposed to be on the way this week. So, yeah, that's coming in. I've also got my tax return coming in soon, and that should be quite a decent chunk of change. Not because, you know, I'm rich, but because I live in poverty, so technically I shouldn't be charged any tax, so I should get all my tax back this year. You know, but it'll probably be like $1,000 or so. So yeah, that should help me get the SSD, and then I can get back into DCS. The other thing is that I have been playing it, but it's mostly been like dogfighting stuff with Tawny and the other Australians that play that, as well as some of his viewers. So, you know, Tawny, Nuts, a couple of the American guys that stay up late to play with us. I see something, and that's not what I want to do. You can tell I've been playing DCS because I'm messing up all my bindings. That is a German. Don't know if he's seen me yet. Yeah, I think he might have seen me. That or he's even less coordinated than I am. Yeah, he's seen me. I'll watch my dive speed and try not to lose sight of him. Where the fuck did he go? I glance at my speed and he's gone. Going back up. God, I hate spotting in this game. If this was Cliffs of Dover, I would never have lost sight of him. Is he behind me? Might have gone and run on the deck, I'm not sure. Well, that was disappointing. First German I've seen all day and I lost sight of him, right as I was about to get in firing range. Oh, there we go. What are you? Think that was twin engine. That might be a Junkers, maybe? Wait, no, it's single engine. Is that him? I don't fucking know. It's so hard to make out what an aircraft is at this distance. I'm not even that far from him. There's no point chasing him. He's going to drag me back over his lines and then get his mates to come bail him out. I'm not into that. I'm not sure if that was the same guy. I think it might have been. I'm actually quite far over the lines now, so I'm going to turn around. Better not. Mind you, can't stream snipe me if even I don't know where I am half the time. CJ. Very tired. I'm kind of bloated. Southern group of tanks. Where is that? Oh, it's across the pocket here. Across the salient. Interesting. If you want to fly, feel free to jump in. I'm on Discord, so could always use a second pair of eyes, considering mine are barely functional at the moment. Yeah, I did, Max. I've been trying to, well, I won't say I've been trying to push for it because I haven't. I've spoken about it like 3 times, but I have poked rant about PvP stuff before. Like, even with my horrendously high ping to the 345th server, it's just something that seems like it'd be fun to do. 1608. Oh, of course that's behind me. Why wouldn't it be behind me? We're gonna actually dive below the clouds, because it looks like the Germans are actually on the deck for once. I think he has concerns that it'll kind of generate into a shit fight and people trying to one-up each other and doing kind of questionable shit, which is understandable and I can see why, but at the same time, we basically never do PvP stuff anyway, so there's no way of knowing for sure. And the AI, like, even VCOM AI, at times, it's just not that satisfying. Jesus Christ. Okay, well the enemy are kind of bouncing between 2 objectives on opposite sides of this salient here. I guess we'll hang out around here because it's easier to see them attack a bridge than it is to see them attack a tank. Sorry if I'm yelling again, by the way. Hey, Wilbur. Thank you very much for the work. In fact, since we actually have mods in chat at the moment, if we could get a shout out for Wilbur there, that would be pretty great. You guys should go check him out. He also streams. He's been on a bit of a break from Twitch, but he's back now. It's !SO and then just put his name. I'm sure you can manage, Max. Oh, Ellert, what are you? Again, I hit the wrong button. Yeah. I would have done it myself, but I don't really want to tab out at this point. That is a German 110 or a Junkers 110, I think, or is it a PE2? Looks like a 110 to me. It is a 110, he's shooting. Lost him behind the cloud. Running the engine pretty hot. He's probably doing the standard 110 thing of flying with like 30% fuel, which is why I'm struggling to catch up. What? Excuse me, what? I look away for 2 seconds and he's vanished. Did he go down or did he just disconnect? Guys, tell me I'm not seeing things. That 110 just disappeared right in front of me, didn't he? He's nowhere to be seen. See, this is the thing, this server is kind of a laggy shitfest, especially when it's populated like it is now. So people warp and teleport around a lot. And I'm pretty sure I've caught people on the German team in 110s, not, you know, not Jammer, but some of the other ones. I'm pretty sure I've caught them lag switching, because it suddenly abruptly stops when they're behind me. And I've also had multiple occasions where an aircraft directly in front of me has just vanished, like just gone. Several times. And I can't tell if they're disconnecting or if it's lag or it's just this game's really bad spotting or what. But there was a 110 here. He was right in my gun sight, and now there is nothing. I'm alone. Yeah, it is. And it's one of the reasons why I don't play this more. It's just frustrating because every time I find someone, it, like, half the time they just vanish, and the other half the time they seem to be able to totally outmaneuver me in an aircraft that I logically wouldn't expect to be able to outmaneuver me. But, I mean, I've kind of ranted about that one and done it to death. But this is really weird. So one of two options. In the split second my eyes were not pointed directly at him, he pulled a really sharp dive and just vanished into the ground clutter. Or the other option, which I think is the more likely at this point, is he hit his disconnect as soon as he noticed there was a yak gaining on him. And to be fair, especially with the kinds of comments I've seen in chat from people that play on the German team, I would expect that. It seems like any time they don't have an instant press button win game against the Soviet aircraft, they just decide they're going to quit. Or they're going to complain about it. To be fair, I'm doing pretty much the exact same thing from the opposite side, but I don't know. It just seems that the German team on this server attracts a lot of people who are like F-14 pilots in DCS, and I've noticed, speaking of DCS, this is a bit of a segue, but I've noticed they're already doing the same thing with Viper, where they mythologize the capabilities of the aircraft. And they think that because it's an aircraft with a reputation for being good at dogfighting, it's this amazing thing, and as soon as they get in it, they're going to dominate every fight they get into. Like, I saw someone, Ralphie put out a video from him playing on Just Dogfight, you know, that server which I routinely go and stomp with my Mirage. He posted a video of him on that, and he was doing alright. But he was mostly flying against bad pilots, you know, like most Just Dogfight players are. And people in the comment section were like, oh, I wonder if this server's going to ban the F-16 when it comes out. Like, why would they? It's not that great. Like, the F-16 isn't some magical do-everything plane. The Hornet will outturn it. The Mirage will outclimb it and outrun it. People go in, I guess I did this to an extent with certain aircraft, I guess with the Axe in this, but people go in with this idea that just because a certain aircraft has a reputation amongst expert pilots who've flown it for thousands of hours, or because it was in a film, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And as a 0-hour fucking novice with no real flying experience, let alone on type, as soon as you get in it, you're just going to clean house with it. And this is why, you know, everyone overhyped the Tomcat before its release. And then after the Tomcat came out and they started getting absolutely fucking whooped by people that knew their aircraft better, they stopped playing it and switched focus to the Viper instead. Like, a lot of the people that hype the Tomcat and don't fly it anymore are the same people hyping the Viper now, and it's not going to help them. It's just, if you don't take the time to learn your aircraft, like, say, like you are, Nex, with the Tomcat, or like Tawny and Nuts have with the Tomcat, if you don't take the time to learn your aircraft, you're not going to be good with it. It doesn't matter how good or bad the aircraft is, it's the pilot. If you can't exploit your aircraft's abilities, you could be in the best plane on Earth and you're still going to suck with it. Like, for instance, the F-15, with its bizarro UFO flight model, the average Just Dogfight player is still so bad at BFM, they will lose in the F-15 to something like a Mirage. And, I mean, as those of you who saw my initial forays into Just Dogfight would have noticed, me in the Mirage, this is before I had much experience in it, where I was just purely trying to turn fight because that's instinctively what I do. In the Mirage, turn fighting against Hornets, I was still winning because they didn't know how to turn in the Hornet. It's something the Hornet does better than almost any other aircraft in the game, and they still couldn't win. So, there's a lot of that in DCS in particular, but I suspect there's a lot of that here as well. And like I said, I've kind of fallen victim to it myself with the Axe. I thought that they would handle a lot better at low speed than they do. But I do still think I have reason to doubt some of the flight models in this. Certainly the Spitfires raises questions. The Yak I can't comment on as much because I don't have really much sim experience in the Axe at all. I did fly the Yak 3 occasionally in IL-2 46, but not very much. And from what I recall, it was actually kind of difficult to handle at low speed there too. It would tend to spin a lot more frequently than the Spitfire would. I swear though, that 110 must have disconnected. He just vanished. He up and vanished. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen it already, if you go and look at Ralphie's video from Just Dogfight, he uploaded it like yesterday or the day before, look at the comment section, you'll see me in there, but you'll see, there's like me and one other guy who seem to have any experience on the Mirage, and everyone else is just like, oh my god, the F-16 is going to destroy everything, oh my god, the F-16 is the best plane ever, oh my god, the Hornet's fucking incredible, and the Su-33 is a piece of crap, look how, you know, there was a guy in there who was like, oh, all the supposed super maneuverability of those Russian fighters really hasn't helped them against the F-18. Like, well, no shit. The guys flying them don't know what they're doing. If you guys saw my dogfights against Badeshka the other day, when I was flying against him and Tawny, Badeshka knows how to handle the Su-27, and he handles it really well. He is hard to kill in that thing. Except when he rips his own wings off, which, you know, even an experienced pilot will still do. I still do it. I ripped my Mirage's wings off. I didn't even know that was possible without pulling the fly-by-wire override, but apparently it is. Over the bridge? Which bridge, Dibbo? Look how many bridges there are. There's like 20 bridges just on our side. Getting a little low. I mean, if you want to head up to the, wait, 2210, where's that? Way down the other end. If you want to head up to the Northern Tank Group kind of area, by all means. Oh, no, there's someone over Southern, hang on. You just don't understand, Max. As an outsider to the world of aviation, it's a concept you could not possibly conceive of. Thank you very much. No, but really, I didn't think you could do that with the fly-by-wire on. I thought you'd have to hit the override switch to do it in the Mirage, but turns out if you keep your speed right up there and just pull until you black out, release, pull until you black out, and repeat that enough times, it does fatigue, stress the wings, and they will rip. When you're flying in real life, what did you find the most challenging about it? Flying straight and level in anything but calm weather in an aircraft with a 600 kilo max takeoff weight. So the thing is, and the other thing is remembering things, because my memory is kind of transient, it comes and it goes, and I get very easily distracted. But the big thing was trying to keep the aircraft stable during summer, because there's a lot of thermals around here. It gets very hot, there's a lot of heat coming off the fields, off the roads, off the trees, and particularly around here because it's a farming area and there's a lot of roads. and particularly there's a fairly major road right at the end of the main runway here. The thermals coming off that will totally fuck up your landing approach. So just accounting for wind and turbulence and the effects of thermal currents on the aircraft was the hardest thing for me. Obviously that's something that's not going to be as big of an issue with that's a P-39. It's not going to be as much of an issue with a larger, heavier aircraft, but in the Bristol and the Jabiru, it was a real handful. The Jabiru had quite heavy controls, whereas the Bristol is very light on the controls, but it's a left-handed side stick, which I really don't like. I would have preferred either a center stick or a right-handed side stick. Yeah, they quite frequently do fly gliders out of the airfield to the point where they implemented permanent right-hand circuits on the main runway just to avoid the gliders getting in the way. There's a lot of glider activity around here in the summer, like not just the airfield but all around the entire area, right through the valley. Wait, hang on. Oh, this is the north. Oh, there's a whole other. Oh wow. Okay. I may have got slightly lost for a minute there. But yeah, I'm like, the way I fly in game, it's not 100% the same as how I fly in real life. Obviously, I'm more cautious in real life, and I put a bit more effort into communication and watching out for things around me, and obviously I fly proper circuits, but my general kind of lack of coordination in game is kind of the way I fly. I tend to be a bit lazy on the rudder. I tend to be a bit all over the place. Not badly all over the place, but like, I could fly better. I could definitely fly better. It's very hard for me to try and coordinate everything. So for instance, a normal summer day for me, I'm all over the shop. It's very bumpy, like I'm just constantly on the rudders and on the stick, trying to keep the aircraft just kind of straight. Whereas I've flown a couple times in the morning during winter, and it's been really nice and cool out. There's been no thermals, no wind, nothing. And I've just taken my hands off the controls and let the aircraft fly itself. It's such a difference. Such an enormous difference. Where the fuck are the Germans? Do we outnumber them again? Is that why? Oh, not by that much. Should have seen some by now. I'm gonna run out of fuel if I'm not careful. 65 litres per wing. I have no idea how long that'll last me. Probably a while. This thing seems relatively fuel efficient at this height. Here was me hoping for some excitement, and I can't find anything to kill. I guess it probably doesn't help I am flying so high up. This is the thing. If I was to fly down on the deck, I'd get swooped by a 110 and just deleted without even seeing them. The other thing that would happen is they'd send their bombers up above the clouds and they wouldn't get intercepted. Whereas, and I do know that a lot of the German players on this server like to hang out up here because they think they're fucking knights in the sky. Whereas up here, if there's anything above the clouds, I'm going to see them, and I'm going to have the energy to dive on people, but at the same time, I can't see what's going on near the ground, and what is going on near the ground is kind of important. So I'm kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't. It's much easier if it's clear weather, not overcast or, you know, quite cloudy like this. Apparently the fight is square 1908 over Vitebsk itself, so we'll head over that way. Yeah, I know, that's very true. I probably shouldn't have said that. I will say, I'm impressed I haven't been bounced yet. Normally I would have been knocked out of the sky at least once by now. I've had opportunities, or I've had an opportunity to bounce someone and fucked it up and lost sight of him, and then the second guy just fucking despawned, but... Now they're attacking our airfields. We'll just keep going for Vitebsk, because that's probably going to be our best bet for action. That's my fuel. I'm going to probably say about 30 litres per wing. I think that'll be my RCB. My bingo. Stay below the clouds here, I think. That is where the action should be, but I see nothing. Yeah, the fuel gauges are on the wings, because the fuel tanks are in the wings. That's a filler cap out there, and that's the gauge. But it doesn't read for the full tank, it only reads when you get down to the last 90 litres on the Act 1, or the last 130 on the Act 7. Well, we're taking ground fire. Probably from Vitebsk itself. It's getting a little bit uncomfortably accurate. Got my friend. Ooh. Well, I don't even know where my teammates are, let alone the enemy. Of course, now there's bridges getting knocked out down south. No, I mean literally, Max, I don't. I have no idea where the fuck anybody is on either team. The last fucking aircraft I saw was a friendly P-39 like 20 minutes ago. Max Payne stream when? I should actually probably replay that. It's been a very long time. I don't have 3, I do have 1 and 2 though. That is not a bad idea. I'll just have to figure out when to do it. Vitebsk? I just flew past it, but they started shooting angry black clouds at me, you know. Started shooting some spicy fireworks, so I wanted to get out of there pretty quick before I lost a wing. I'm gonna have to land soon. I'm getting quite low on fuel. Oh, hello. Might that be a Dibbo I spy? Can't even tell what it is from this distance. The wings look square, but that doesn't mean much until I get closer because the wings on everything look square at that range. Be able to catch up. Can't tell what that is from here. tracking south-southwest, which would kind of suggest it might be German. I wish this had rudder trim. I really care about aileron trim, but I wish it had rudder trim. That looks very square to me. Just double check my tail, we're good. Hey Gilson, thanks for the resub, dude. Eat pant indeed. I think that's what I'm about to do. As well as content of pant. See, there's no one behind and above me, but I just feel like as soon as I get close to this guy, something else will jump me. That has to be a 109, surely. Yeah, that's a fucking 109 for sure. Oh god. Why? That is a fucking Spitfire. Oh my... His wings looked square right up until the point where he flew past me. See, this is what I mean about spotting in this game. Right up until he's that close to me, he looked like a 109. Because when aircraft are a certain distance away, it renders in as a very blocky shape to try and offset the fact that it's harder to see. But in the case of the 109 and the Spit, it makes the two look almost identical because it blocks out the shape of the wings. You know, they're trying to lower the number of polys that it's rendering in, and so they cut the curve of the wings, and that's the result. Well, we've burned all our fuel doing that. So I'm definitely RTB now. We'll go for Zanino, that's the closest airfield. Here was me hoping I'd actually have a fight on my hands. Gilson, please. I already feel, like, literally I already feel sick. Please don't make me throw up. I'm not really sure chat wants to know either, to be perfectly honest. Come right off the power here. And really lean out the fuel. Airfield's down there somewhere. I'll be honest with you guys, this might end up being a relatively short stream. Just because I am not feeling the best. So what I might do is I'll probably do like another flight or two, but I might cut it a little shorter than planned and I'll do another stream later in the day or something. When I'm a bit more awake and a bit less feeling like I'm going to throw up. Spot the airfield, I can't see it. It's around here somewhere. Is that it? No. Ah, there it is. God, no, I hope not. There would be many questions to ask if that was the case. We'll be fine. No, I haven't. I've not even used a public toilet for, like, at least 6 months. So that one's out. Yeah, I was going to CJ, but I think I might, you know, do another flight or two and just cut the stream and then pick it up later in the day with some DCS. I'm just not with it today. But if I'm on tomorrow morning, we can definitely do some. Catch you later, man. Thanks for stopping by. People taking off, so I'm actually landing the correct direction. Happy days. I'm coming in a bit fast. That's alright. Come on. Trying to get out of the way because I know people are going to take off here. Gilson, please. Don't make me break out the weird champs. When you realize you landed at like 50% mixture. Oops. It amazes and terrifies me that they allow you to have responsibility over another living being. We'll head up to Ryabinki, since that appears to be the active the active area now. Oh, I wish I could take the Mark 9. I really want to fly the Mark 9. But I also don't have money, and I don't want to spend what I do have on this game at the moment, so we'll take the 7 again. Now I'm really astonished. Can I just take off straight ahead here? I think I can. Looks good. Wait, hang on. This is where I flew from originally, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. Whoops. Started partway through that playlist. There we go. Whoa! Ground there was a bit rough. I'm not sure that's how it's supposed to work, but I mean, I can see where the logic comes from. I'd love to know where the actual action is taking place, because I'd like to actually get a shot in at a German. Even if I don't kill him, I just want to see a German and have a chance to shoot at him. So I'm thinking what I might do is, after I end this stream, because I'm probably going to be going out around lunchtime, what I might do is I might get a couple more hours of sleep, if I can, and then this afternoon, when Tawny hops on, if he hops on, since he stood on his fancy headset and broke it yesterday, when he hops on I might do some dogfights and DCS if he's keen, get some more Mirage in, demonstrate why it's the pilot, not the plane. But like I said, do go check out the comment section on that video of Ralphie's. It is illuminating as to why people on JDF are so bad at planes which are, you know, perfectly functional. And you guys have seen me fight. Tawny and Nuts and Badeshka, like, you guys have seen me fight people that know how to handle their aircraft, and you've seen how difficult it is for me. And then if you go back and watch some of my older streams where I was playing on Just Dogfight, you can see the enormous difference, especially against the Hornets. Like, it really does make a world of difference knowing your corner speed in that plane, and the average person on Just Dogfight doesn't. But I guess it's kind of a manifestation of Dunning-Kruger effect, that they don't know enough to know that they don't know. And they think that the way to cure it is just a better plane, when really it's not a better plane, it's a different plane, but it's not better. For instance, and this is something to kind of bear in mind, in Cliffs of Dover, even the AI in a 109, like a good skill AI will beat me if I fuck something up. Because, especially between the 109 and the Spitfire, they're so evenly matched early on in the war. An early 109 will turn with a Spitfire if it's flown well. It might not be able to maintain it, but it can do it. It's all about pilot skill. You have to know your aircraft better than the enemy knows his, and you have to know his aircraft better than he knows it if you want to win consistently. Which is why, as well as, as well as bitching about 110s in this, I need to get better at handling the Axe, and I need to get better at knowing what the other aircraft are capable of. So, to kind of expound on the whole 110 saga, I kind of feel like perhaps the pilots during the war not really knowing how to exploit it to its fullest potential. I think that might have factored into the popular history of the thing, along with the doctrine it was used with. And perhaps it was really a very maneuverable aircraft, it just never got the chance to show it. This is something that kind of comes out a lot, not so much in combat, but rather in comparative trials. And at the hands of test pilots, is certain aircraft that are not thought to be very maneuverable or very fast actually are. They just have to be handled correctly by someone that has a lot of experience and knows what they're doing. So if you read comparative trials that are flown by actual test pilots with a lot of hours on type, some really illuminating results come out of that. Really illuminating. One of those, for instance, being the MiG-21's ability to snap its nose onto something. I mean, as I've said, it can't sustain it for long, but the MiG-21 can sustain a 32, 33 unit local AOA turn, which is just mind-blowing if you think about it. Like, the MiG-21 is supposed to be very fast in a straight line, but not good at not that great at sustained turns. It will sustain a turn, you just have to know what you can sustain. Hello, what are you? I just realized I had my mixture out the whole time I've been smoking. That's a yak. There's certain other things too, like for instance the MiG-21 is very resistant to compressor stalls. The design of the engine makes it very slow on the throttle response, like very, very slow on throttle response, but it makes it very resistant to compressor stalls. So using that and the MiG-21's ability to pull very high AOA turns, you can abuse that against other aircraft. So, for instance, against the Viggen will compressor stall very easily if you try and bait it into a sharp turn. And so you can use that against it in the MiG-21 and get him to kill his engine. Whereas if you're fighting a MiG-21, he can't nose down or fly inverted for very long, so you can abuse that against him, much like 109's abused it against the early Mark Spitfires. Before Miss Schilling's orifice was installed on the Merlin, and then before they moved to the SU car. The early float carbs couldn't handle negative G, and so it would cut fuel flow to the engine. The obvious solution from the Spitfire side, the countermeasure to that, is to just roll inverted and then pull back on the stick, which is a better maneuver anyway. Both the human body and aircraft, like an airframe, generally don't like negative G. They'll tolerate much more positive G than negative G. But, you know, if you have the ability to do it, it's a good maneuver. Yeah, exactly, and so you can use that against the Viggen, and it's going to be something that you can really use against the F-14A when it comes out. The F-14B, I don't think I've ever compressor stalled it, except when I've had engine damage. When the engine's gone to their secondary mode of operation, it's very easy to do. In fact, quite often, even flying relatively straight and level, you get a couple of bangs now and then. But yeah, like it's just, you know, kind of a transient stall that comes and goes with engine damage or with aircraft damage. Whereas the F-14A will be very easy to compressor stall, very, very easy. And so it should be interesting to see that when people get hold of it. The MiG-21 should probably perform a lot better against an F-14A than it does against a B. What are you? That's a yak. I don't trust my teammates anymore after the last few times I've seen a yak pulling up behind me like that. Another thing that's handy to know, for instance, is the MiG-29 is not as tolerant of sharp pulls as the MiG-21 or the Mirage. It doesn't have the nose authority that they do. And so although the MiG-29 turns very well, it also bleeds energy quite quickly if you just hold back on the stick. You've got to regulate it a bit more, which is something I still haven't got used to doing. I've got to get better at it. I don't fly the MiG-29 nearly as well as the 21 or the Mirage, but you can use that against people. If you're flying in something that can pull, you just yank the nose up and get them to bleed all their energy, and then they start, I don't know if you guys have seen me fly the MiG-29, but quite often I'll do this kind of thing where I step it, so I'll pull, I'll stall, and just do this through a like stalling over and over again through a turn. Again, because I don't have the knowledge of what angle I need to be holding it at to turn smoothly without bleeding speed. Whereas the Mirage, you can hold it because of the fly-by-wire system. In the MiG-21, I know the angle I can hold it at. It's all about knowing your aircraft. Which is again why I'm much better in the Spitfire than I am in this thing. And I tend to fly this thing like the Spitfire in a lot of ways. Like, technically in the Yak, you don't really need to mess with the RPM as much as you do in the Spitfire, but I do anyway, just out of habit. .1407. Fairly far north of here. Head up that way, I guess. Oh yeah, they're all along this stretch of river. I'm going to get under the clouds. I'm going to head up there and see if we can get a kill on something, or at least scare them away. Yeah, it has the same problem as the MiG-21, where the there's just a simple header tank to feed fuel into the engine when it's inverted, and it's a very small tank. In the MiG-21's case, if you're in mill power, you've got about probably 5 or 10 seconds. If you're in afterburner, you have like 3. It really doesn't tolerate it at all. It doesn't leave you much margin for error. With that said, as long as you've got the speed and the altitude, the MiG-21's engine is quite easy to air start. It's very easy to relight. Sorry, I didn't mean to ram you. Oops. It's funny to see the Russians have loan-worded sorry. Like, I don't know if that's just an online gaming thing that they picked up, or if that's a general loan word in Russian, like in contemporary Russian, but at least in an online gaming environment, I see a lot more of sorry than I do izvinite or prosti. That's way down fucking south. There are the other bridges now. War Thunder's not a game, but a state of mind. Yeah, tell me about it. Some of those early sessions on Just Dogfight, I tell you what, I may as well have played War Thunder for all the ramming that went on. I believe this was it. This server, or was it Knights of the Sky? It might have been Knights of the Sky. I think there was a specific rule: no ramming fighters, but ramming bombers was acceptable. Historically accurate, I guess. Oh, hello. What are you? There's 2. There's one high, one low. Bruh. You guys saw that, right? He just vanished. He phased out of existence. Oh, there's a mess of them down there. I'm gonna guess that might be a 109. That definitely looks like a 109 silhouette. Oh yeah, he's German. Come on. You got a hit? Oh! He's burning! There was something else up there. It might have been a spit behind him. I can't tell. We're gonna get some speed up. Who are you? You're another 109. Oh shit, boys. We're in it now. Oh god. Okay. I may have bitten off more than I could chew here. I got one on me, but I want to see if I can get this guy, maybe. Yeah, there's at least 3 of them here. That one's gone off. That was a real Hail Mary. The Yak is not a very stable gun platform. It's a great fighter, but it just isn't a stable platform for shooting. Kind of like the difference between the Spitfire and the Hurricane. The Hurricane was a great gun platform, but didn't have the performance, whereas the Spitfire had the performance, but wasn't stable. And was very twitchy on the controls. I'm definitely going to get shot down here. There's no way I can avoid it, basically. Yeah, I got 2 of them on me. Am I over friendly territory? No, I'm not. Oh, shit. Oh. And now I'm wounded. We'll try and... Oh, God. Oh, God. No, it's not going very well at all. Trying to head east over friendly turf, but I don't think I'm going to make it. Yep. We dead. We dead as fuck. So I got 1. Yep, there we go. We got credit for 1. Somehow I survived that crash, which is astounding. Like, my pilot isn't dead. He's about to be captured, though, because we've come down behind the lines, right next to a German objective, actually. At least now we know where they are. Might do one more flight for this stream, and then I will call that a morning. I'll take a bit of a break, maybe catch a couple of hours of extra sleep, and I should be back this afternoon in DCS. But hey, we got some action in. We killed someone. Set him on fire. That was a really lucky hit. Must have had a 20 mil round go straight through his engine or something. I really wasn't expecting to do any damage on that first pass, let alone set him on fire. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. Scramble, boys! I think that's our culprit over there. Maybe. Come on, start faster. Let's go. What? What? What just happened there? Oh, Jammer's on as well. Yikes. Well, I mean, at least I didn't run into him. It's a proper little airfield there. Imagine using the runway though. Who does that? .2513. That's way down the other end of the map, but we know there's a whole shitload around the fortified area up here. So I think that will be the way to go. Place to head towards. Probably try and stay a little closer to our lines this time. I don't want to get shot down in their territory again. The problem there was that I saw fire, so I thought I had support. The problem is the fire was at a friendly. I think it may have been a Peshka. And so I basically dived into a formation of, or a group rather, of 3 or 4 109s. I did get that first guy. That's probably when I should have just hit the deck at full speed and got out of there. A lot of my problem is that I will charge into things without really stopping to think about it and checking what's going on. So it's quite common for me, especially like on multiplayer flight sims, to get one kill and then get shot down. Because I just dive straight into the first stoush I see, and then I realize I'm outnumbered. And it's kind of a bit late by that point, because I'm committed. Something, reckless aggression, something, aggressive play style. Is that a yak? Whatever he is, he needs to check his engine mixture. Be something down here. Yes, there is. If only I could actually see what it is. There is definitely a German here. Something just died over there. Oh, that was the other bridge, I think. Maybe. It's a 110. The real question is it a white 110? Because if it's white, it's jammer. Oh, yep. We meet again. And there goes my wing. Yikes. And splat. Well, that went well. I don't know. The spotting in this game, I never saw him until he was right behind me. Like, I saw traces going up at something, and then I couldn't see what it was going up at. If this was Cliffs of Dover, there would have been a glint off his canopy or off his wing, and I would have spotted him. So, I don't know. It's just frustrating. Like, I know I have bad eyesight to start with, and I tend to miss things like that. So, I could use any little bit of help I could get. And there's no help in this game. None at all. Like, absolutely nothing. Anyway, I think that's going to do the stream for now. I'm a bit too tired to really keep going. So I'm going to send you guys over to someone else. And I'm going to have a bit of a sleep. And I should be back on later today with some DCS. Probably dogfights in the Mirage, maybe some other stuff as well. Let's see. Bear with me for a second here. Let's host dub. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you probably in about, I don't know, a few hours from now, for some DCS.